I've encountered many people who find the mere use of the word used to title this video intolerably offensive. I hold a contrary position which states that it's the context and the intent of a word's use that determines its offensiveness. To retard something literally means to slow it down or delay its development. Early on, people with significant mental impairments were officially labeled as being mentally retarded. It simply meant they were mentally slower. It wasn't a derogatory term, and it was in no way designed to belittle those people. It was just a label to refer to a certain group, and having a label to refer to a group is not intrinsically offensive. Women don't get offended, for example, when they are referred to as women to specifically indicate which gender group the speaker is addressing. Eventually, in an effort to insult those not technically mentally retarded, people began to refer to them as retarded. Also, rude and uneducated people who thought it was somehow empowering or appropriate to mock mentally retarded people would shout that label at them as if it was something they were guilty of or worthy of being degraded for. Most people know better than to pick on mentally handicapped people, but those who do are simply assholes who seem to be in a big hurry to show just how void of decency and respect they are. In a poorly designed effort to reduce bullying, it became politically incorrect to use the word retard or retarded to describe anyone or anything at any time. The smart thing would have been to push to teach people that making fun of others for something they have no opportunity to affect about themselves is futile, cruel, and harmful. Instead, there was a push to demonize the word used to label those victims rather than focusing on the bully behavior itself. And a shiny new term with a positive ring to it was selected to refer to the victims. Mentally handicapped people were to be politically correctly referred to as special. Those in the school system were enrolled into special education or special ed. As soon as that took root, the terms special ed or SPED were used in the exact same way that retarded and retard were used before and frankly still are used. The master plan for the term special to be impossible to be used in a negative context crumbled like a cedar chest at a termite convention. All the while, parents and family members of the mentally handicapped became strictly aware of the campaign to demonize the term retarded, and many of them became brazenly offended if any version of that word was used in any time or any context. Plenty of people carry on with that and teach the same level of sensitivity today and behave as though waging a war against the word retarded somehow combats bullying and improves the quality of mentally impaired people everywhere. The current terminology for mentally impaired students is exceptional children, or EC, because calling someone special or labeling them as special ed became associated with the mentally handicapped people, which has a negative connotation. And there's the real problem. And there's the real thing that families of mentally handicapped people should be up in arms about. The intelligent thing is to acknowledge that people with Down syndrome, severe autism, Fragile X syndrome, and so forth are still human beings. They are people, many of whom are kind, loving, and generous people who enjoy life and treat their fellow humans better than most intelligent people do. Merely referring to those people as mentally retarded rather than exceptional, impaired, or handicapped is not harmful to them, nor is it mean-spirited. If you refer to them in that or any other manner as a means of discouraging, demeaning, or insulting them, then you have crossed the boundaries of socially acceptable behavior. It would be every bit as cruel to make fun of that group of people by calling them stupid as it would if you used a word like sped or retard. It's the intent that matters, not the specific word. In the same way, if I call a ridiculous and ill-thought-out proposition a retarded idea, the point is that the idea is slow, stupid, undeveloped, not intelligent, etc. The point is not to make an offensive reference to mentally handicapped people. An obnoxious thing about this issue is that, in my experience, mentally handicapped students and young adults are fairly apathetic about the level of nuance used in referring to them. Most that I've met, with the exception of those prone to fits due to their condition, are fairly mellow, friendly, and affectionate people, impervious to the offense of mere words. It's how people speak to them and treat them that they tend to react to. But for some reason, many non-handicapped people feel an irrational compulsion to take it upon themselves to be deeply offended on behalf of those people who aren't offended by those labels deemed politically incorrect by society, despite the context and intent of those words. If you're one of those people, stop that shit. It's retarded.